So today I wanted to start a bit of a training vlog sort of thing on this channel. This is my second YouTube channel. I have another one where I mostly review books and talk about philosophy and stuff like that. But this is the side one. And I thought I'd talk about training and more specifically what I'm training for, which is I'm training for maximal strength, but in a very general way. And so some people might be familiar with Supertotal. So Supertotal is the combined totals of both your weightlifting total and your powerlifting total. So weightlifting is what they do in the Olympics, where you have the clean and jerk and the snatch. And these movements, you're getting the bar overhead using very explosive movements. So there's a lot with, the shoulders and the legs in terms of like what muscle groups are like really important, as well as the back. But it's mainly about explosiveness and speed. And then you have powerlifting, which is probably more familiar to the average person, which is squat, bench, and deadlift. And these are all slow movements. And so I train for Supertotal plus a couple extra lifts. And the reason why I train for Supertotal is because I think that both the sports are. If your goal is just to get strength in a very strong in a very general sense, both the sports are too specific in what they're doing, and they lead to you losing qualities, or maybe less so with weightlifting. But powerlifters lose a lot of athleticism. They lose a lot of speed, ability to change direction, although that's not really a strength thing. And this is because they're so specialized towards being strong in a very static or slow way. And weightlifters being able to produce, maximal force is less important to them. It's more about speed, explosiveness, and technique. But I think you can make an argument that they are not, in a very general sense, strong. Although you look at like the top weightlifters, they're definitely strong. It's a little bit different. A weightlifter is more well-rounded than a powerlifter, I would think, in terms of strength, because generally speaking, they're also pretty strong in the way powerlifters are. But it's very technical, and so a lot of time is spent, or a lot of effort is on drilling technique. And my problem with both of these combined, just having a super total, is that both of these movements are, what you're doing is symmetric on each end, right? There's no lateral movement or twisting involved whatsoever in any of the lifts. You just have two hands on the barbell, perfectly symmetric, very controlled, and this isn't a complete strength profile because the world does not interact like in such a way that you're never twisting or turning or holding something with one hand and not the other. It's very much so not how the world is in like the abstract sense. So if you're training maximal power, maximal force, I think it's incomplete to do it with just the super total lifts. Just how I think each one is incomplete on its own. And so what I've done is I've also added two other lifts in the bench press, which is where you kind of hold the bar around here, and then you twist and you fall under it. And the one-arm snatch, which is a snatch with one arm, although I do it the way Charles Rigilo did it with a 90-degree turn, and it kind of incorporates a movement similar to the bent press in that you are dropping under it sideways. And I think that including these two lifts makes the whole package much more well-rounded. I've also been thinking about adding two more, although I'm not sure. The other two I'm thinking of adding are the Turkish get up and the one arm clean and jerk. one of the problems is that it's difficult from a practical perspective to train more and more and more movements. I'm up to 7 right now, and programming for it's actually a huge pain. Right now I'm only squatting once every 10 days and deadlifting once every 10 days, so that's perhaps not optimal, although I'm more focused on weightlifting with this particular training cycle. Anyways, so what I've been doing is Supertotal plus extra, and I think that powerlifting is incomplete because it doesn't involve fast, and weightlifting is incomplete because it doesn't involve maximal force in the same way powerlifting does, and that both of those two are incomplete because they don't involve asymmetric movements. So, in a way of trying to be as complete as possible, I've come up with Supertotal Plus, or Mega Total is like what I call it in my head, although no one else calls it that, so it's a little bit silly. I never explain it to anyone like that. I tell them that I do Supertotal plus a couple extra lifts, trying to get as strong as possible on those. And so that's mainly where I'm at in terms of what I'm focused on in training. And then a little bit of an update more specific to right now, because this is a training vlog and I might as well, give a little bit. Right now, I'm having some elbow problems. This is August 30th, 2021. Although I'm guessing I won't upload it today. I'm having some elbow issues. And I'm not sure if this is tendonitis or hyperextension. It feels like hyperextension, but it also feels fairly mild. I'm going to probably be switching up what some of my workouts are looking like. Instead of like weightlifting, for example, where you're punching it overhead, I'll do some high intensity plyo, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. I am nearing the end of my training cycle. I have about 20 days left, or a little over 20 days until my final deload, after which I will be maxing out on all 7 lifts. Very excited about that. I'm also cutting weight very slowly right now. I don't want to cut weight too fast and disrupt the peak, but also I'm pretty large, so I could kind of just cut weight and not get too many negative effects. So over the next 3 weeks or so, probably going to post a lot of new maxes as I continue to peak into my final max out session, where I will actually be going to failure on all the lifts. I'm going to spread it out over like 9 days though, I think, where I'm going to train. I'm going to do odd lifts, one each day. So that's the snatch, the one arm snatch, and the bent press. Then a day off. Then the weightlifting, one each day. Day off. Powerlifting, one each day. And then I'll be done. Or I might start with the weightlifting and then odd lifts. But that is kind of what my training's looking like right now. It's a peaking phase that I'm just entering, so it's going to be a lot of just singles and heavy lifts, and that is kind of my favorite time period, so I'm very excited. Hopefully this elbow thing kind of just blows over. It's feeling pretty good today. It was hurting a lot yesterday. Gonna try and take it easy on it over the next 2 days, so I'm just gonna do modified training the next 2 days, and then I have 2 days off of rest, and then hopefully by the time I'm back on the 5th day, I'm feeling really good. So that's kind of where I'm at. Normally I end videos with a bit of discussion, but so if anyone has any questions regarding the training philosophy of trying to do Supertotal plus a couple extra lifts, they'd be welcome, or any suggestions, because I'm kind of, the exercise selection is to some degree, it's just like, it's all arbitrary. No one competes in all of these events at once, so this is just, you know, a territory that's not very well explored. And so, philosophically speaking, like, almost all these lifts involve going overhead, which is, like, maybe, in some sense, that's how you, like, conquer the weight, right? You lift it over your head, and you're like, I got you, right? And so, on one level, I really like all the overhead stuff, right? Bench press, one-arm snatch, clean and jerk, and regular snatch, all overhead. And then on another level, it's like, well, maybe this isn't very well-rounded. We're not testing strength in a complete way. Almost all the lifts also incorporate, you know, legs, or pretty, like, leg-heavy, and also pretty shoulder-heavy, which actually makes programming them very difficult because they're all complex compound movements, and the fatigue for one just bleeds into the other. And so I'd be curious if anyone has any sort of exercise selection that they'd be interested in, like, putting up as a sort of, you know, that's consistent with what I'm trying to train. I've considered also just dropping either squat or deadlift, because you're kind of testing the same sort of limit, as well as dropping bench press. And the reason for dropping bench press is, well, so part of the reason, and this is the one I don't like to admit, is I'm just kind of bad at it. I'm not very strong at the bench press. My current PR is 335. And just, like, relative to, like, my squat, which is, like, 6'10", it's, like, very small. But a second part of it is, like, from a practical perspective, you're almost never using the sort of musculature that's, like, really useful for benches. Doesn't translate too well into, like, if you think, like, either real life experiences or, like, real life versions of, like, if you ever needed to push something, you would be pushing mostly with your legs. Like, you would not try and extend your arms as a part of pushing. You would either keep it in tight and push with your legs, or keep it locked out and push with your legs, right? And so, just because it's not, like, very efficient, also, bench press seems to generate just an enormous amount of fatigue in the shoulders, which is problems for all the other lifts. And it also, I don't quite have, like, this issue, but, like, maybe because I, like, skip bench quite a bit. Like, if I have to skip something, bench is the thing I like to skip. But it also, like, tightens up your shoulders and you lose, like, shoulder mobility. And so, maybe it's not a good exercise, and, like, something like overhead press would be better. Although, one of the things I like about training Supertotal Plus is I can eventually compete in weightlifting or compete in powerlifting, right? Or do both. And if I just, like, drop the bench press for the overhead press, that's not, like, something I could really do. I suppose I could do incline, which is, like, a compromise between the two, but I already do incline as an accessory, and I would do bench as an accessory for incline anyways, I think. And so, anyways, so if you've watched this to the end, that's shocking, but thank you. I appreciate the view. If you are interested in seeing more, feel free to subscribe, and if you liked it, give it a like, and have a good one.